Hello, hello, lovely people. Welcome to Tiny Kitchen, Big Flavor. I am bringing you in because tomorrow I'm going to be making Sancocho de habichuela, which is like a bean stew. I have here a family pack size of pork ribs that I have cut and washed in vinegar, rinsed and pat dry. I have here one red onion, a little packet of garlic that I'm going to be adding. Have a little sofrito left that I'm going to be adding to this. And the only thing that's in here is really like bell peppers, onions, garlic, cilantro, and things of that nature. All natural ingredients. It's just I had a little bit, so I'm going to add it. I am going to add some oregano as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and season this overnight. On this end, I have my beans soaking in water that I have rinsed and put to soak in water. These are cranberry beans because I didn't have the pinto beans, but these work just the same. Now that we blended our seasoning, we're ready to season our meat. It looks this color because of the red onion. You can add white onion, but in the meantime, I'm just gonna do this, season it very well, and put it in the refrigerator until tomorrow. Okay guys, so we are back. It is the morning after, and I'm gonna rinse these, and I'm going to be cooking them in the Instant Pot to save myself time. I added my water. I want you to see how big these, look at these beans. They're huge. Like I said, I normally use the pinto beans, but I didn't have any, so I'm using these. I don't remember if I mentioned that one of the reasons, besides it cooking it a lot faster for soaking it, it is that it helps get rid of some of the lectins in the beans, and the lectins are normally on the skin of the beans. I'm gonna put my lid on and close it. Now I'm using a different Instant Pot. Pressure cooker actually. This is a Highland. I got it at Lowe's. I'm not very familiar with it, but I like to do the manual setting. Okay, so I decided to cancel the manual settings, and I'm gonna go ahead and use their beans, which is option 9. So let's do that. Okay, and let's see what happens. Because when I did the manual, it was giving me a 30-minute, and I don't know that that's probably gonna be a little bit too long. And the reason I say that is because normally when I make my ribs on my Instant Pot, I just do 20 minutes. And ribs, you know, the meat takes a lot longer for it to get tender than I think the beans will. So we'll see. All right, guys, so it indicated that it was done because it went to warm, but it was not letting the steam out. So I had to turn it off, because when it's done, it'll say OH. And then this will keep it on warm, but then it wasn't letting out the pressure. So I had to turn the knob to let out the pressure in order for me to open the pot. Okay guys, so the next step is gonna be working. I'm gonna get my meat started. I like to brown it, and I normally don't add any oil because the meat will release some of its oil. But because this meat doesn't have a lot of fat, I added a tiny bit so I can brown my meat. Okay guys, so I have browned my meat just a little bit. I turned it off, but I decided to go ahead and drop it in my Instant Pot because it's going to make my job a lot more simpler. If you don't have an Instant Pot, that's just fine. At this point, you can add some broth, like chicken broth or beef broth, and just cook it very slow, not too much broth, because you're going to be adding the beef to it. But then you can put it on low and allow the meat to get nice and tender. But I'm just going to go ahead and transfer it here. Okay, so let me add a little bit of my homemade beef broth, or beef stock rather. This is just so my meat doesn't burn at the bottom, doesn't stick. All I'm gonna do now is put my lid on. Sorry for the mess in here, but my kitchen, as you know, is very small and I don't have much room to do anything. Okay, so I'm gonna do the manual. This is it. I'm gonna give it 15 minutes and that's it. That's all you do. So now what I'm gonna do, let me turn your attention to the beans. And here they are. Let's see how done they are. Okay, let's see. So, okay, they're not totally tender, but that is fine. Look at how big these guys are, because I'm going to be dumping it into this pan where I was making the meat, okay? Since my beans are almost at that tender point, I'm not going to continue cooking them until the meat is done so I can then incorporate everything. Sancocho de habichuela, we use longaniza, which is a type of sausage. Normally you can find it in the Spanish supermarket, but if you cannot find it, you can certainly use another type of sausage of your liking. Okay, what we're doing now is I am cooking the sausage, which is la longaniza. I like to put it with a little bit of water so it could render all the fat. And I don't like it to overpower my sancocho, so I do it this way. And honestly, whenever I make any kind of sausage, I always put a little bit of water so it could render some of the fat and cook through. While my meat and sausage are cooking, I'm going to prep my plátanos and my yuca, which is known as Kabocha. I buy the frozen one, and then what I do is I put it in water so it's easier for me to cut. In cold water, let it hang out there, and then I can cut it to the size that I want. Okay guys, so I have prepped my vegetables, and all I'm adding is yuca and plátano, as you can see down there. My sausage is already done, and I went ahead and cut my yuca. Something very important that you need to know is that when you cut the yuca, you're going to find in the middle, it's going to have a vein, or the heart of the yuca, if you will. And that is kind of a tough, that you need to remove that. And I have already done so. And you want to remove it, or else it gets in your broth. But this is basically, it looks like pieces of stick. This is basically what it looks like. I don't know if you could see this one. It's a good, so you remove those. But a tip that I wanted to give you is when I make sancocho, I don't put a lot of plátano. I only put enough that I know we're going to consume that day. The reason for that is because plátano, when you leave it overnight, in this case in sancocho, it tends to turn a color and the texture is not the same. I myself don't like it that way, so what I do is just add what I know we're going to consume. If I have leftovers the next day, I just cut a fresh plátano. I make sure I dice it small enough so it could cook fast. And I add a little bit more liquid to my broth, to my sancocho. And that's how I like to do it. Okay, guys, so our meat is ready. Let's check and see how we're doing. You can see this is down, so it's safe to open. But look at how it's falling off the bone. And I just gave it 15 minutes. So it still has a little bit to go, but not much. So I am going to be dumping this into my bean pot. And now I'm going to turn it on. And I'm going to be pouring this over. Okay, guys, so I tasted a little bit of meat. And can I say OMG? Now the flavor on this broth is going to give your bean an amazing amount of flavor. There we go. If you're one of these people who have problems with beans, you kind of get bloated when you eat beans, something that will help is anise seed. My mom always used to put that in it, and that's what I do. If you don't like it, you can leave it out, but I'm just putting it out there in case you're one of these people who does have issues with beans. That's the way to go. Okay, we are ready to add our vegetables. I'm gonna add all this into the pot. And I also have here a cube of cilantro, like I mentioned to you before. I just put it in the blender and I freeze this. If I don't have any fresh, I still have some. You can add a little bit of tomato paste if you want to thicken it, up to you, and a little bit of salsa. All we're gonna do now is allow it to simmer. I'm gonna put my lid on like that so it can, and just allow it to simmer. It will thicken up with the yuca, and the plátano will thicken up your broth. Well, it's been a while since it's been simmering, and you can see the color, how it's changed, and it's thickened some. Oh my God, this thing looks amazing. I'm gonna taste just to see if it needs salt or anything like that. Give me a minute. Let me grab a spoon and see. What are we working with? Let me go over to the sink. Yes, sir. Oh my God, this thing is off the hook, off the chain, off the rails. I don't know what to tell you, except to give it a try. Once you serve it and you have a little bit of hot sauce over it, oh my God. Now, the way that we serve this back home is we make white rice and we accompany with a little bit of white rice. This thing is absolutely delicious. If you want it more liquidy, you can add more broth or stock or whatever. I love it this way. This is a meal in it of its own. If you didn't want to do the rice, you don't have to. It is absolutely on point, you guys. If you like this video, as usual, you know what to do. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel so that you can be notified whenever I release a new video. And don't forget to hit the notification bell. Wait a minute, did I just say that? I did, didn't I? I'm all crazy because I'm dying to get into this sancocho. That's how delicious it is. Oh my Lord, let me make my rice and we are done.